year. We're going to go into some internals. We're going to introduce the alumni. Woohoo! Yeah. We're going to go into some preset questions for them. We're going to have a little break, 5-minute break. And then we're going to have an open Q&A. These are all the QR codes that you've been seeing around. If you see the papers, feel free to pass those around your little section to the audience so you can ask those questions. Closing remarks, externals, and clap out. All right, so what is panel? So as Alumni Liaison, one of my many duties is to invite some alumni back to share their journeys with us, to share their post-grad and possibly some of their college experiences, and to give back to the community that they are once part of. So we are all hopefully eventually going to be alumni, and so by sharing these experiences, they are able to share something that they think that we will benefit from, and you're going to be able to connect with them in hopes that you can learn more about their unique journey. If they were in your major, if they weren't in your major, and they ended up in your occupation, it doesn't matter. As long as you can network with them, they will have something to share with you. All right, I'm going to once again emphasize, please scan this QR code, quick little Google form to ask any of our alumni some questions. Is everyone ready to meet the alumni? Yeah! The three alumni we have tonight are Deejay Santiago, Ocampo, and Mari Aquino. Yeah! Can we get a drum roll, please?
That's my kuya.
Welcome. I'm going to be passing the mic off to DJ for starting our introductions.
Thanks, Bryan. Evening, everyone. How's it going? Good. Thanks for having me. My name is Deejay Santiago. I believe I'm the elder of the alumni panelists here. I am the class of 2000. Graduate of social science here at UCI. My involvements with Kaba date back, so I was one of those, as you guys say, born in the 1900 kids, Came to UCI in '95. My involvement with Kaba, from day one. I came from a school that was, not a lot of Filipinos. I came here, day one, I just kind of drank the Kool-Aid. Oh, it's Kaba. It's the coolest club in town. I need to be part of this. And from the jump, I was always heavily involved in all the meetings. Dancing modern, during my time here for like 4 or 5 years. And then my last year, I served as the Kaba events coordinator. So, took a leadership role. Actually, fun fact, while I was an events coordinator, I also served as an intern here at the Cross Cultural Center. So this place has a lot of, meaning to my heart. This club means a lot to me. So, it's a privilege. Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me kind of come back and, kind of share my experiences. A little bit about me is, after I graduated from UCI, I worked here for about 8 or so years in the School of Continuing Education, and it was my mentors here, and I kind of got a taste of working on, hey, you gotta go back to school. No, making money, I don't want to do that. But she kind of encouraged me to do that, and I ended up going back and getting my master's and my doctorate from USC, and I've been kind of working in the field of education ever since. So that's kind of a brief overview of my story and kind of my connection to Kaba, and thanks again for having me. I'll pass it over to Lisa.
Hi everyone, my name is Lisa. I go by she, her pronoun. I was graduated from the class of 2021. I graduated with education sciences. What can I share? Oh, I was a spring intern. I was promotion in athletics. I actually came in as a bio major, switched. I'm currently a third-year PhD student at UC Riverside, and I work as a mixed methods researcher as well. Yeah, I think that's about it.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Mari. Pronunciation is I am the class of 2022. I graduated in mechanical engineering, and I also wanted to say thank you again for having us. I think it says a lot about Kaba that a lot of alumni are willing to come back and participate and be part of this space again. So I'm a little biased too because I was Alumni Liaison. My time here at UCI, I was part of a couple of senior design projects, and then in Kaba, I was also a spring term, and then I was the publicity commissioner the year after that, and then the year I graduated, I was Alumni Liaison.
Wonderful guests tonight. So we're going to be moving into our pre-set questions. Like I mentioned before, please scan the QR code if you yourself want to ask a question. We're going to have that after the break. But our first question for our panelists tonight will be, how did you end up in the career you are in today? Did you ever change your mind, and what experiences led you or influenced you to take that path? I'll hand the mic to whoever would like to speak.
All right, very similarly to Lisa, I started, came in, parent expectations, you can be pre-med, you're going to do, I went the bio route and kind of realized halfway through my time here at UCI, like, oh, this is not my calling, I don't want to do this. But then I was like halfway done, I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? I can't be hitting the reset button, 2 years in. So I connected with the cross-cultural center director at that time, Hannah Gonzalez, and she was like, hey, we gotta, let's kind of take an assessment of where you want to do, where you want to go with things. And Scott told me to kind of get involved in student life. I started serving as a teaching assistant in some classes, interned here at the Cross. They serve on several advisory committees. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. I can make a career out of this. Like, I really kind of enjoy kind of learning more about student development. She's the one that kind of opened the door for me to kind of take a job. I literally graduated, right after commencement in June. I was starting to work that next Monday because she really kind of helped pave the path for me. So as I kind of said goodbye to that, that medical career, I really found that door opening in the field of education and student development. And I started working there. It was really her that told me that, as I was kind of getting into the groove of working full time, making money, she's like, hey, you're really gonna want to kind of grow and advance in this field. You're gonna need to have that educational background to match the work experience. Like, yeah, I'll get to it. So, the first year passed, I'm working, getting into it, she's like, no, you gotta go back now. You gotta go back. Here's the scheduled GRE tests, here's some applications, you're gonna start kind of applying. So I'll write the letter of record. So I'm like, all right, I'll go back. Took the test, got into my master's program, got that knowledge, and then I soon learned that, like, I don't know, assessment tests are still happening. My GRE scores were about to expire. I'm not trying to take another standardized test. Let me just jump right into a doctoral program. So just in 6 years, I knocked out my master's and doctorate while I was working, and then I kind of transitioned out from UCI and started kind of working at a ton of community colleges. And really, my catalyst is I wanted to be that practitioner that kind of paid it forward, the same way that the director of the cross-cultural center here did it for me when I was kind of, in flux per se. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I want to kind of be that one that's going to help pay it forward, make sure the students who are navigating higher education, who may not have that sense of direction, I can help provide that guiding light, and kind of tell them, okay, help them make informed decisions, kind of learn from my mistakes, learn from, how to kind of successfully navigate higher education and achieve those academic goals. So that's kind of my why and where I come from, and kind of how I circle and ties it all back to here to UCI, the Cross, and Kaba. So that's my story with careers.
Thank you.
So when I was a senior in high school, when I was filling out applications, I applied to 8 schools. 4 of them was for civil engineering, 4 of them was for biology. My entire family, they're all engineers, actually, so I am the black sheep. So that's part of my story here. When I started at UCI, I made the mistake of doing 8 a.m. classes. I thought I really could succeed in those classes, and I did. I got A's, B's, and some C's in my STEM classes. But it wasn't until I started taking my GEs. I happened to be taking only education GEs, so it's through there I learned about the field of education and what that offers students. For me, education was a lifeline, and I think for many immigrant families it is. And so I wanted to explore that more and why I was passionate about it. I also didn't understand, you can choose a career to be very passionate and succeed in it too. So having those skill sets was important. I switched my major in my second year and then graduated the next year with education. But through there, I actually got involved in research labs. I was involved in like any education club. Like, I was there only for 1 year, but I made my time very worth it. I started my PhD program in 2022. Yeah. So I'm a third year in my PhD program now, where I do qualitative and quantitative work. So I work closely with statistics as well. As a PhD student, I'm constantly working. I've been a student forever. Like, I have had no breaks, so I totally understand what it's like to do that now. But I also work, during the summer, I work as a full-time researcher with a nonprofit called API Data. So we work closely with statistics and using that to help the community. And then I'm part-time right now, so my career is very much my passion. So yeah.
Thank you.
For me, I actually started out UCI as an aerospace engineering major. It wasn't until my third year that I kind of had a really big moral dilemma with where I was going to end up with an aerospace engineering degree. And it also helped that I failed my astrodynamics classes, and it made the decision really easy for me to switch over to mechanical engineering. So, yeah, having that really, asking myself those big questions that my third year of college made me reflect on why I was even getting an engineering degree. And I think from there I just realized, you know, most of my family has been working in healthcare all their lives. And I knew I either wanted to do something in the automotive field or do something in the medical field as an engineer, something that would have a positive net effect on the world. And where I ended up today now is I'm working as an engineer for a biotech company that does, we make analyzers for PCR analyzers for COVID, influenza. Basically, when you go to the doctor, it takes like a couple of days to get results, right? So our analyzer can do it like within 8 hours. So it's really crucial for, you know, keep things like a pandemic, making healthcare more accessible for people, so they don't have to wait days to know if they need treatment. So yeah, it's how. And before that, I worked as a test engineer for, I was working on EV chargers, LED pods, and smart home products as well. And that was good work. I was really lucky to get that position. But I knew that I wasn't fulfilled at the end of the day, which is why I started seeking other opportunities. And I had the privilege of being given the opportunity to work with this biotech company, and it was an easy yes. So that's how I ended up where I am today. And yeah.
Thank you. All three of you have shown that the path that you begin on isn't necessarily the one that you're going to end on, and that's okay. It's okay to follow your passions, try to figure yourself out, not only during college, but in life generally, right? And so I'm glad you're able to share that. Kind of contrary to that, we're going to be moving on with our preset questions into the next one. In what ways do you think Kaba has evolved since your time? And what changes or developments do you find most exciting or important?
So when we started here, Kaba was like, and I think it still is, it was like the club to be a part of socially. So there was a lot, Kaba has changed a lot. I wish there was more emphasis on the history and culture, which I think this current age and et cetera is doing a great job at doing that. What I find most exciting is building community, especially with alumni. I love how involved alumni have been with Kaba recently. The networks and who you know really go very far, but Kaba has very involved. I'm just like thinking back past my past memories. It has changed a lot, so which are all good.
Thank you.
Lisa and I, we graduated like very similar times. So, you know, Kaba had, when I first came, it was a similar thing. You know, Kaba was a club to be in socially. And it has definitely evolved a lot. You know, there's a lot of structure now and a lot of, you know, emphasis on programs. So, you know, I still follow the Kaba page, so, you know, I see all the stuff that you guys are doing and the events that are going on, and, you know, things have gotten, you know, Kaba has really become an organization, and there's a lot of opportunities for people to showcase their talents, and it's been a privilege to, you know, say that we were part of this space before, and to see what you guys are doing with it now. It's a fresh take, and it's just become, you know, a place for people to come to, and yes, I don't know if that's there's a lot to get from Kaba, and yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to provide a different perspective. I did not graduate next to Mari and Lisa. When I first got into Kaba, so Kaba, you know, every year that you know, I was in college, that first general meeting was like, you cannot miss that event. Everyone wanted to come out. I mean, we were talking, I don't know what you guys call some of those lecture halls right now, but they used to pack like the social science lecture hall, like you pack the guilds, because everyone's like, oh, who's coming, what's new, what's the direction of it. So I would say that the three elements that really kind of resonated during my time was like, definitely social, so that's definitely stayed consistent with it. Community building and cultural were things. So I would feel like while Kaba did kind of try to continue to educate, you know, it was kind of just at the time, a lot of the folks there, they really resonated with the social component. People wanted to go like, you know, it was to the point where you had to kind of do responsive programs. The students would even try to do like a, hey, we're gonna go out to like Spark Filipino town, you know. Some students will go, you know, but oh, we're gonna do this after event at a nightclub, and it's just, you know, it's packed. So it just really just responsive to what students wanted to do. So we were, the social element and the community building were definitely first and foremost kind of what, you know, Kaba at that time put their flag in the ground, and that's what we were really known for. Memberships like exceeding like 400 or 500 students, you know, coming around, and then I would say the 4 flagship events that Kaba would be involved in, of course, like the Friendship Games. Then you had, I don't even know what's around, Sports Fest, and then they had, you know, NITs and then Northridge, and then of course PCN back then, which is now PACN, are the events that everyone just kind of gravitated towards. So like, no matter if you were involved or you weren't involved, like everyone would come back for these kind of major kind of stakeholder events to kind of, you know, get involved with the club organization. I was involved, and I think, you know, Kaba, you know, just like sign of the times, like they'll evolve and they'll adapt to what the student population, the university culture is responsive to. So I definitely think that I was involved in terms of being responsible for programs of what students want, whether it's kind of, you know, educational development, career advancement, you know, in those facets. So it's definitely more well-rounded to kind of meet the, you know, what the students want to see and do and be involved in order to kind of find that community. So that's kind of my take on, you know, the evolution of Kaba over the years.
Thank you. That really shows, you know, Kaba definitely changes over the years, but a lot of it stays the same too. And, you know, it's up to us to define what makes Kaba same and different and what we want to look for future generations. So, looking in the other direction, our next question will be, what advice would you give to your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Totally blanked out right now. Oh, okay. So advice, I would say that we all each have our strengths, and whether it's finding a career, something we're passionate about, we can really hold on to that. I wish I could give myself advice knowing that the traditional career route doesn't have to be the same for everyone. I also wish I wasn't so hard on myself to try new things. And the biggest thing that I could really recommend is finding a network, whether it's during Kaba, like friendships that you make, or mentors for your career, your professors. Finding that network will be so important as you move forward because we can't do anything alone. So.
Thank you, Lisa.
I think it's, me being here is kind of a right cause of what I would tell my younger self. So I think I made, as someone who went here, I think one of the things I really did is really kind of build that community. Some of my closest friends right now are still, 25 years removed from college, are still the closest friends that I have growing up. So I mean, use this time. Just the people that are sitting next to you are probably the friends that you're going to stay connected with in that community, in that sense. You're going to navigate a lot of life, life events together, the same pain points. Now, in that, what I would tell myself before, what I would tell my younger self now is like really find that balance. While I did find that network and that community and these lifelong friendships and connections that I have, I feel I did it almost at the expense of my academics. If that's full disclosure, I'll say I was dumb. Like I did not prioritize. I wish that light bulb would have gone off a little sooner for me. I had to kind of find my way. I was like, what was that word we were saying before? It's like, you're like, oh man, AP's not a good thing here in college. Like, that's not advanced placement. So I mean, I had to learn the hard way. So if I had to kind of turn back and tell my my younger self, I was like, hey, find that balance. Like it's definitely good to find that community, find that social network, because you do academics all day, every day, you're gonna burn out. I had roommates that just fizzled out because all they were their own value was weighted by their family based on their GPA. And at that time, as an undergrad, I didn't know how to navigate that. Like I was watching, a roommate of mine was like, hey, I'm gonna just withdraw because there's too much pressure. So I'd say really find that equilibrium is gonna be critical for your success, like not only in school, but life in general. So that's my words of wisdom.
Thank you.
So my answer is definitely gonna resonate a lot with Lisa and Deejay. I struggled a lot in school. I'm not a school person, and I think that I definitely partied way too much and did not focus on school. And the thing is too is I didn't hang out with a lot of engineers, and so I didn't give myself the chance to build those friendships and connections with other engineers in the fields that I wanted to be in. So I had to get really scrapped after college. I had to, spam people on LinkedIn asking for connections and to ask for advice, because these were things that I could have easily had if I had built a network while I was in school, but I was just so focused on hanging out with my friends and going to Kaba events and just going out. And I struggled a lot with school, but I really enjoyed doing my senior design projects, my engineering projects. And if I could give my younger self advice, it would be to, like they said, build that network while you can. You're never going to be in a place like college again, where you're around so many people who you can so easily build a connection with, because it's tough out there. You have to be hungry if you don't make that choice now. Another piece of advice I would give myself is stop listing out all the reasons why it wouldn't work, and start listing out the reasons why it would work. And I think I was kind of blocking a lot of blessings for myself because I didn't think that I deserved it or that I could do it, and all I could think about was all the reasons why I didn't deserve something or why I couldn't do something. And once you make that switch in your mindset, so many great things just start coming your way. And
Thank you, Mari. Yeah, it's really tough to try to find that balance, like you said, Deejay, between academics and non-academics. It's tough to find that community that'll support you to do both. But it's important, you know, like you said, Mari and Lisa, even during college and after college to find that balance of what, you know, between work and personal life. It's important to understand when to take breaks. That being said, let's take a break.
Wow!
Let's say bye, everyone. That break was nice. Hope you guys have typed in those burning questions we're going to answer. So now we are going to be moving on into our open Q&A. And just wanted to re-emphasize, just in case the QR codes weren't enough, I highly encourage you to ask these questions to these people. They're here to support you and they're here to share their experiences with you. Our first question is from Samuel, and he asks, what did you learn from Kaba or UCI that made a significant change in your life? What inspired you to come back? Sorry. What inspired you to come back here to be a part of the panel?
So what I learned from Kaba, so you know, I'll take a step back. So you know, back many years. I just came back from Friendship Games and I saw Kababayan perform for the first time. Oh, I have to be part of that. I have to. I had no network here. I'm not from Southern California, but I'm going to shoot my shot. You know, like, I don't have a crew to dance with. I'm just going to go out there. Back in a former life, I was a b-boy. I'm just going to go out there and just kind of freestyle. I'm just going to do my thing. Go out there. I'm just going to take a chance, put myself out there. End up getting on there, like the youngest, you know, person on the crew, one of the only two freshmen that got onto the team. So one of the things Kaba taught me is like, hey, you just gotta, you know, put yourself out there, you know, kind of develop that leadership skill. So I really attribute a lot of kind of my leadership skills to my time, you know, in Kaba at UCI in terms of that. Now, why I come back again? It's really just it's a labor of love. It's a passion piece. Like I really feel that Kaba really made an imprint on my life and who I am, you know, kind of really helped shape the person I am, not only in work but in life in general, and as a first generation Filipino American. So I'm always happy to kind of come back and pay it forward to this organization because I owe so much. Full disclosure, like my wife's here in the front seat right now. I met her at a Kaba meeting. You know, my kids are over here, so like I come full circle, like, you know, so we were, you know, working together at UCI, and you know, we are like 25 years later. Coming back. This is like my first meeting back in like 24 years. So it's kind of weird. So thanks for kind of welcoming back to campus.
What I learned from Kaba is how important it is to acknowledge that we are Filipino, especially being in America and what that means. When I was in high school, there was maybe 10 Filipinos, and I was one of them. So coming here was a culture shock. So what it taught me was being proud of my family, how far we've come, and to use that proud and pride that we have for a movement for something bigger. It changed my life. All of my best friends came from Kaba. Some of them aren't even Filipino, but they were in Kaba. So all of my best friends, whom I love so dearly, still make a huge impact in my life. So this community that you build here can be so important. I come back because since I'm doing my PhD and since I'm a student too, I know what it's like to have a lot of questions about someone who's already made it a little bit further than you have. So I just come here to be as vulnerable as I can to share my experiences.
Thank you, Lisa.
For me, very similar to, I grew up in like a predominantly white neighborhood. And let me tell you how big of a culture shock it was when I first joined Kaba. You know, no history, no self, and I didn't really know anything about Filipino history or didn't even know what questions to ask. And to tell you how so bad it got to the point when I was younger where I wanted to change my name to Zach. It was just to like fit in with a lot of like, you know, the other white people in my school. There were probably only like 5 Filipino people, like my city. So, coming to Kaba, it changed everything, learning about what it means to be Filipino, like to be Filipino is, like the Filipino is worth dying for. It just completely ignited a flame inside of me to learn as much as I can to help become a source of education for others in the space. And I think there's a lot to be said about what it means to be Filipino American and understanding, it gave a lot of clarity and resolve to what I was experiencing as a Filipino American, which the Filipino American experience varies so greatly from just being a Filipino in the Philippines. And I think being Filipino in the Philippines is all I knew about what our identity. And there were just a lot of really great people here that were so open and willing to educate so many people. And I just came here and got to absorb a lot of it, and made me proud of who I am, and made me proud to go into spaces where, carrying my identity into spaces as an engineer, And why did I come? What inspired me to come back here? It's a similar thing, Kaba gave so much to me when I came here, and gave me so much resolve and confidence and identity, and I want to give that back as much as I can in any capacity that I have. And I reached a point of kind of stability in my life now, where a lot of things are much clearer to me now that I'm older, and I hope that collectively we can all share some of what we gained in our experiences.
Yeah, as our wonderful panelists mentioned, it's important to find your community, it's important to find your own identity, and no one can tell you what your identity is, only you can. And so Kaba or any organization can help shape you, but again, you are the one that can define yourself. Thank you all for that. Our next question is anonymous for DJ. May you please elaborate on your experience dancing with Kaba Modern?
Yeah, I signed a waiver form, I might get hurt here. It was really, you learn more really about a team. So again, in high school, I was like, I was part of a breakdancing crew, I was a b-boy. Kind of joining a team that did choreography and kind of had to learn blocking and these rehearsals, and I'm like, oh man, that's where you kind of learn the structure. Class till 7, I got to scurry over to like a basic course structure. We got practice till like 11. Just being kind of, having that resolve, because the folks will kind of come and go. You got the performance here, in Ring Mall, and then you got another one coming up, and people kind of come and go. And you just got to be fluid. You got to learn this routine. You got to learn to do partnering work with this person. So, it really kind of, at the time, as a dancer, as someone who really was passionate about that, it really kind of helped kind of build my arsenal per se, and I kind of learned like obbing, locking, I learned a little bit of jazz during that time, so it really kind of expanded my toolkit in terms of kind of being dance. And it really, I found in terms of finding that team, that camaraderie, I feel that, so Kaba Modern is really kind of a subset of Kaba, right? But I mean, even that, you build that between a lot of the folks that I dance with, I'm still in connection with, we still kind of get together from time to time. We can't do the moves that we used to do. And the evolution of the teams is definitely, it's awe-inspiring. And I was just here last month when they did the 50th anniversary of the current Modern crew, doing the moves, man, I would break a bone right now just watching it. So it's awe-inspiring to kind of see the evolution of the team and the evolution of the dance and movement and all that stuff. I mean, it was really, I would say it was like a highlight of my time here, just to kind of be able to share the stage at our cultural nights and go to these important show-offs, these dance competitions, the vibe. You also have the vibe here, right? The dance comes. So they had it. We were performing that one back in the day, and it was always fun to kind of perform, to kind of be on stage. That was my authentic self at that time. It's like I expressed myself through the performing arts.
Thank you, Deejay. Expressing yourself, expressing yourself. Over the years, people find ways to do it. They could be the same, they could be different, but like I said earlier, your identity is your own. And joining Kababayan, you know, whether you were Deejay's age or today, you can find yourself and you can pursue your passion. Thank you so much, Deejay. Our next question is for all of your view from the wealthy anonymous. How did you deal with uncertainty leading up to where you are today?
So I think I'm uncertain most days, still to this day. And I think that's something that we grapple with is thinking that the closer and older we get, the more answers we should have. When I changed my major, and I've changed my major probably 4 or 5 years ago now, I still look back to think about what I could have done if I wanted to pursue something differently. Uncertainty, part of it is trusting yourself and trusting that each path that closes or opens is meant for you. And it sounds super cheesy, but that's something that I really had to acknowledge is the cards that you're dealt with versus the ones you can also see. Whenever I feel uncertain about my career, for instance, I've made mentors in my PhD program, professors, where I can really lean on them for their advice. So part of dealing with uncertainty is meeting people who are really good at everything that you've already failed at.
I'll talk about, I'll go back to my high school time. I love my high school friends, but I was one of the few that kind of made it out, and I went off to college to do that. You have to, I'm sure in some capacities, each of us kind of deals with that kind of that crab mentality. You got haters out there he's not going to make it, you're not going to do it. To the point where I almost, my first year I almost started believing it, don't worry, he's just going to come back, he's going to come back home, he's not going to succeed at UCI. And I started believing it, I started having that imposter syndrome. Am I a faker? Do I not belong here? And I'm here to tell you guys all that. No, don't believe that BS. You guys all belong. You all have done the work to become, to come here to UCI to be anteaters. So believe in yourself in that capacity. The other components, there were always folks that were always kind of putting me down, and I almost I took that as a challenge. You're not going to go to your doctor. That's not your MO. You're not going to do that. You're failing out a bio. You're kind of floundering. I just kind of used that to kind of develop that grit, that resilience. I'm you're going to tell me I can't do that? Watch. Take a seat, on the show, and I'm going to rise to the occasion. So I always kind of embrace those challenges. I always wanted to prove others wrong, while kind of developing myself. And that's what I would say is kind of where I feel that's kind of been my role. There was a time when I got in, I finished my doctoral program, and my mentor at the time goes like, hey Deejay, you can have all the alphabet letters behind you. You can have that BEA, you can have that NED, you can have that EDD. It's bottom line is, can you do that JOB? So you have to find that balance of hey, you can have all that theoretical knowledge. You can't come in like a wrecking ball and just kind of change things up. You have to kind of just learn to soak in the culture, and so it goes back to finding that balance. Find out where you can put your imprint on, and where you can find your sphere of influence, and without compromising yourself. And like I said, don't let anyone ever kind of shortchange your worth. But that's what I can say.
For me, I think I recognize that I reached a point of uncertainty when I really exhausted all of my options. What I couldn't come up with answers by myself anymore is when that was the point of uncertainty. And the relief to that was finding a mentor, or multiple mentors. I reached out to as many, like I said, I got really scrappy after college, and I just reached out to as many people on LinkedIn as I could. And you can still do this, even if you're not looking for a job, even as a student. I would highly encourage you to reach out to people on Handshake, LinkedIn, or through your own personal networks to find out how they did it. What you're trying to do, a lot of people have been able to successfully do, and a lot of people have gone through what you have. And I found that most people are willing to help you. And, you know, I'll give you an example. I reached out to a random guy that works at a company out in Boston, and his name was Wei Shun. And I just told him, like, Wei Shun, like, this isn't like a typical call. I'm not trying to get you to give me a reference or anything. Like, I really don't know what to do. I've been applying to every job that I could. I've been revising my resume every single day. What do I do? This is what I'm feeling, you know? Not just a typical, like, oh, I'm an engineer and I did this project. I just told him, like, this is how I'm feeling. And bringing conversations down to a human level really brings out that humanity in the other person too. You know, they see themselves in you, they see the struggle, and they see the hunger in you to want to do better. And which is why I really am big on mentorship. But people have, I'm kind of going in circles here, but yeah, that's how I dealt with uncertainty.
Thank you, Mari. Yeah, you know, we're all human. One could argue that it's nature to try to fit in. It's difficult to try to find yourself, but you can be sad and say, I'm different. Or you can look at yourself and say, I'm different. Thank you very much, everyone. Our next question is for all three of you again. What was your most memorable experience in college/Kaba?
So I also have been dating my partner. His name is Josh. I met him at Kaba. He was my only Kaba crush. He didn't give me opportunities to look around. Like, he was like, you need that. And so, but meeting him and his best friends, I think has been my favorite experience. When you really meet a group of people that you feel like will be your friends for the rest of your life, I think that is very special. So that, and we had like it was like the 47, 46 gala for Kaba, and that was very memorable to be a part of too.
I'm going to go down that same road since I've got, my roommate here. So the story of how we met, we were both at a Kaba meeting, and it was getting ready for Kaba formals at that time. I think that's what it was called, like some kind of formal event. And participants of like a Kaba event got half off of their ticket for the dance. And I was like, so I won. We played kind of like a mock dating game, and I won my side. She played the mock game on the other side, and we both won. And they're like, oh, you guys should go together. I'm like, yeah. We were both kind of seeing other people at the time, and we were just like, okay, well, let's go together. And that was in '99 or something. Kind of met at that Kaba meeting. As they say, the rest is history. Happily ever after. We're married now. I don't know, 25 years. 25 years, so 15 years. I may even making up numbers, but we've been married a long time, and we've been together since. So that's kind of become my most memorable one. So when we first kind of met each other, and it was at a Kaba meeting. So that's kind of my tie-in.
All right, I guess I gotta follow in the footsteps. One of my favorite memories is I met my partner. We've been together for 3 years now. We both met in Kaba, and she was a lot of your guys' highness, so she says hi if you were in her. But yeah, that was one of my favorite memories was, being able to be part of her life, and it's been great. Life has been much better and stuff. And some other good memories. It was the first time I joined Kaba, and just meeting so many people at once in college was really overwhelming, but yeah, it helps me figure out who I was. I had a lot of people to reflect off of and find out what I like and what I didn't. And shout out to my first gay parents. Loki fan, and shout out to Mari fans, support Loki fan.
Wow. Lots of special people in Kaba, huh? Take your time to find people that you enjoy. Take your time to find the one you enjoy, possibly. Thank you all. Our next question is for all three of you. How has your experience having a position in Kaba benefit or affect your life post-grad?
Guys, when I tell you, working in the corporate world, there is a very almost clear delineation of people who have served in student orgs, and being in leadership positions in Kaba, during my time there, professionalism was a really big aspect of our success and objective. And I think learning that level of professionalism and being in positions where you had to speak to a lot of people, talk to other organizations, it gave me a lot of confidence going into the corporate world, because I knew how to talk to other people and email people as as granular as it is, emailing other people, talking, being able to form relationships and talk between organizations is huge. That is how you will move up and succeed in the corporate world. And I got pretty much all of that from college, and I was just very grateful that they gave me the opportunity to be in the leadership position. So,
Thank you, Mari.
I think being a part of Kaba and having a position taught me about, I used to be afraid to speak in public, and something about Kaba is they really get you to get over that fear quickly. And so that's something that I take now as I talk to hundreds of students or talking to senators or politicians. Part of that now is knowing I feel so grateful to be a part of a community that pushes me to know my worth. And so part of that is taking that in my career now. And so I have a lot of confidence and not as much fear as I used to.
There were a couple of instances that I can remember, with Kaba, public speaking, as Lisa was mentioning, was the one that I didn't have a natural knack for it initially, but when you got into that leadership role, you had to kind of go out there and kind of speak, and in terms of kind of being. I also learned teamwork and programming. I say teamwork because you always for Kaba or for the greater good, hey, Deejay, we're gonna do a skit at this comedy. You're gonna have to wear a bahala, right? What? All right, so I had to dress up in one and just, kind of play the role, and I just kind of rolled with it, and kind of learned to improvise and kind of play it off cuff. So I learned those type of skills, but also from a programming perspective, Mari was talking about, there's a lot of transferable skill sets. So I did the event coordinator thing, and to this day, a lot of my job right now down the street at Irvine Valley College is a lot of student programming. A lot of those skill sets transferred, to this day. I just think, being what I like to say is a very student-responsive program. You have to kind of listen to them, you got to evaluate, you got to assess, you got to make sure you're aware of what your students want to see or do. So I attribute a lot of those skills that I developed from my time in leadership roles here in Kababayan, as far as whether it's public speaking, programming, or kind of working with students.
Yeah, leadership definitely gives you those opportunities to develop those soft skills. I just want to reemphasize that, I want to appreciate that you guys are in leadership, but you don't need to have these positions to be able to practice these skills. You don't need to be an alumni liaison or events coordinator to be able to know how to talk in social settings. You're able to build these skills even without these positions. Feel confident in yourself and feel confident in the skills, and show others that you can do it. Thank you very much. Our next question is for Mari from our lovely Prince. Tell us more about the flower shop you now run and what inspired your startup of this project.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So for those of you that don't know, I run a flower shop as a small business on top of being an engineer. So I think my whole life I've always been doing like creative stuff, like graphic design. I was always like hustling people when I was a kid. I was like 13, making logos on paint.net and then selling them for $5 on the internet. So I've always like had an artistic side, and I realized like in this past year, you know, I've been trying so hard. Like I've been freelancing, making logos, doing social media management for different companies. You know, designing covers for podcasts. And I've been selling so many of my talents separately to so many different people. And I was like, I had thought, why don't I just combine everything that I'm good at and do something for myself? Like, why don't I just, yeah. And that was kind of the birth of Aquino's Flower Shop, was compiling everything that I've been doing over the last like 10, 15 years of my life and putting it into a project I was passionate about. And going to spaces like flea markets and getting to talk to lots of different people and seeing them get excited about what I have to offer has been really, really rewarding. And yeah, and it's going strong. So I was so scared to start it actually. The first flea market that I enrolled in, I actually just didn't show up because, and I told them I was sick. I was just so scared. But you know, I have really great support systems to kind of ground me and make me look back and realize that I've been kind of doing stuff like this my whole life, and this is no different. And this time I'm choosing myself, and allowing these blessings to flow in. So, yeah. Thanks, Prince.
Channeling your passion into something that gives you opportunities to show that passion and to create more opportunities. It's really awe-inspiring. Thank you, Mari. Our next question is for Lisa. You mentioned that you felt like the black sheep of your family for not choosing the engineer path. What advice would you give to someone who is pursuing their passion over what is expected of them?
That's a great question. I think one of the barriers I had to get over is communicating with my parents. I think that was the biggest thing that I was scared of, was when I was switching majors and careers, I had to talk to my immigrant parents to tell them I'm going to education. And it's also that conversation of like, what can you even do with that degree? And so advice that helped me is thinking about concrete steps. Before I called my parents to tell them I was switching majors, I had a game plan. I told them, this is what you can do with a degree. You can become a professor. This is what my professors do. So what helped me is figuring out a game plan. If you want to switch into a career, the biggest thing that you can do is talking to your professors is so underrated. I work so closely with professors all the time, and they love helping students. And very rarely do students ask them for advice about themselves, etc. So what helped me is talking to my professors and actually getting to know the major degree that you're planning to switch into before you do it. Another thing is, I think for many Filipinos, we identify with careers that our families do or that we're accustomed to do. And so knowing that there are careers for everyone and you don't have to look a certain way to be a part of them. And so that's another barrier that I would try to get over. The biggest thing is involving yourself. I think Mari talked about this. There's a lot of other Filipinos that are switching into majors, and it's amazing. The best thing that you could do is meet them. Meet the ones that are engineers that you want to go into engineering to. Maybe it's education, but starting that group and having a community to move with you. And then going on LinkedIn, like I also cold emailed like dozens of people to be like, can we talk, right? I cold emailed my way to getting a software engineering level 2 job position. Like I don't know how I got there, but it's something where like part of this conversation is networking goes so far. I know that's very cheesy, but I feel like if you really do network, you can go so far in your career.
Yeah, don't let people's expectations of you define you. Only you can define you. It's very important to keep that in mind and keep yourself at your highest priority. Thank you very much. We have one final question from our lovely anonymous. So we got a last question. If you have any more questions, please feel free to stay afterwards to network with our lovely alumni. Similar to Jesus Christ, what is your body and blood? For example, my blood would be root beer and my body would be the double breasted bacon cheeseburger from Harris.
Yeah.
Yes.
My blood has to be Oba. Okay, I have a record. I went out, there was one year I got Oba, I think, 250 times in a year. I have all the highlight points. Anyways, yeah, it was and then my body, I love Coco's. Ichiban, like curry. Like, I love curry. And I went to Japan and we got Coco Ichiban like 3 times. And that's like their McDonald's in Japan. But I was like, you know what? It's gourmet for me.
I would have to say, you know, the body for me would be like Korean barbecue. I think that's the one.
Good answer.
I'm very critical too. Like, you know, there's always kind of this running pull. So, you know, I go, I'm like, all right, I'm getting my money, like eating, you know, like, you know, I keep ordering plates. You know, you get like a bill. It's like, ooh, all right, it's like a CVS bill. Like that's a win. I even ask the servers at the end, like, hey, how do I do? Like, what do you mean? Like, you gotta give me a grade on how much I ate in comparison to other people. Like, you know, I'll give you a C. One of those goals, eventually you get a, oh, you got an A. So I'm a foodie in that capacity. Like, I love Korean barbecue, and then like, if I would say like one, it was like maybe a good microbrew or something like an ale or a lager or something. That's
Oh, fancy.
My blood for me is also a sign that I'm getting older. It's black coffee with 2 sugars.
Wow.
Every day at work. And I used to be a latte person, but man, things change when you get older. And my body, I'm like torn. So all you can eat sushi is a big one for me.
Good answer. Good
Me and
answer. Good answer.
Me and my partner, we always calculate, you know, how much we would have spent on like basing how much we ate. And so the other answer for my body would be like Lebanese food is like just top tier cuisine, or Ethiopian food. It's so good.
Thank you, Mari. Alright, thank you everyone. That was our last question, but like I mentioned, feel free to talk to our alumni afterwards. With that being said, we're going to thank the alumni. Thank you all for being panelists. So if we get a round of applause for all the lovely people. Thank you. Congrats. I have an external. On the count of 3, I want everyone to say thank you, alumni. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, alumni. It means so much that all 3 of you are here tonight. You're both lovely, lovely guests. So we're going to individually thank them. Can we get a thank you, DJ? 1, 2, 3. Thank you, DJ. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Lisa. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Lisa. And thank you to Mario. 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Mari.
Let's give one more round of applause for Bryan. Obviously, like with alumni in general, we wouldn't be here as Kaba without the alumni, but we wouldn't be having these kinds of events without our Alumni Liaison. Obviously, he's the bridge between our undergrad and all those who have graduated. So putting this together, we couldn't have been so fun. So another round of applause for Bryan.
Thank you all. This event was held by me, but you guys all helped me up. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart. With that being said, for real this time, we're gonna clap out.